We're on live.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Bruderheim Special Council meeting, Monday, September 20th. Would someone from council be willing to read the acknowledgement? Councillor Wayne.
Today, I acknowledge that the town of Bruderheim is located on Treaty 6 territory and the homeland of the Métis Nation of Alberta. The town of Bruderheim honors the first peoples of the land. We recognize that we stand upon land that carries the footsteps of Cree, Métis, and Blackfoot amongst many other nations who have been here for thousands of years. Therefore, the town of Bruderheim has an inherent responsibility to foster healthier relationships with First Peoples and further the calls to action as outlined by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission.
Thank you for reading that, Councillor Wayne. That's first time with the new acknowledgement. Thanks very much. So we need a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. Would someone be willing to make that motion? Councillor Pat?
I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Any comments, questions, concerns, changes? No? Okay. Hearing nothing, call for a vote. Anyone opposed to the motion? And the motion's carried. Number 3, request for decision 3.1.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Administration would like to provide council with information about the impacts and responses associated with the announcement of the health restrictions announced on September 15th by the province. Recommendation that administration implement the restrictions exemption program known as REP for all non-essential town services as of September 22nd, 2021. That amount of up to $15,000 to fund implementation of the restriction exemption program, including costs for additional security and required cleaning, along with ongoing temporary COVID prevention measures be approved, with the source of the funds to be municipal reserves. Or that an amount of up to $15,000 to fund implementation of the restriction exemption program, including costs for additional security and required cleaning, along with the ongoing COVID-19 prevention measures, be approved with the source of funds to be added to the current user group fees. Council history. At the September 15, 2021 regular meeting of council, Councillor Judy Schuler made a motion that council direct administration to delay opening the arena until administration could review the current restrictions and provide information to council. The motion was carried. Strategic plan areas. An economic development strategy inclusive of business attraction and retention. Working with community partners to complete projects. And a community is educated on responsibilities and limitations of council administration. Other impacts, policy, financial reserve policy, FIN 091. Summary, the town of Bruderheim continues to follow the COVID-19 provincial guidance. Administration has reviewed the impacts of the September 15th Governor of Alberta announcement and has identified impacts and developed a set of recommended next steps to move forward in a way that protects staff safely, mitigates public health risk, and maximizes opportunities for residents to access services. Administration continues to monitor developments, including COVID cases, current hospitalizations, vaccine rates within our community. Administration also continues to scan the region for best practices and align with them. Based on data analysis and internal collaboration, recommendations are developed that include contingency planning to mitigate the impacts of COVID within our facilities, for our staff, and the community. The continued and consistent application of these measures are used to support the safe resumption of services and provide social supports that best support our staff, residents, and businesses, community, align with the province while maintaining community safety. Resources and information are continually updated and readily available on the COVID-19 section of our website. Communication plan. Internal and external information would continue to be communicated regularly to ensure staff and community are informed of mitigation efforts. We've attached the current Chief Medical Officer of Health Order 43-2021, the requirements for the restriction exemption program, and the COVID-19 status update PowerPoint presentation, which I'd like to present right now, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Schuler, can you see that presentation?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Mayor, we'd just like to do a status and community update at this meeting. The agenda will have opening comments, review the current situation in the town, review the GOA announcement restrictions impacts on the town, review the regional decisions since the Government of Alberta announcement on September 15th, discuss and make decisions on the town of Bruderheim implementing the GOA's restrictions exemption program. Just wanted to go over case counts, vaccination rates. Currently in Lamont County, 60% of our eligible residents in Lamont County, 12 and up, have at least one dose. This is below the provincial average of 80.1%. 53.8% of our eligible residents in Lamont County, 12 and up, are fully vaccinated. This is also below the provincial average of 72%. The September 16 case count was 49 cases. And Mr. Mayor, I did look today and we're down to 45. Alberta case count is the highest in Canada with 19,201 cases on September 16th reporting, which is triple the amount of that in Ontario. 911 people are in hospital and 215 in ICU. And currently, as of September 16th, there was 2,523 deaths to date. Mr. Mayor, if council has any questions, they could just ask during the presentation. Just wanted to do a review on the restrictions that affect our town. The public health actions that are in effect on September 16th was in the Chief Medical Officer of Health Order, which talks about distancing and masking, which was already implemented in our facilities. Restriction exemption program comes into effect today. Businesses and organizations can opt in to require proof of vaccination or negative COVID test, proof of medical exemption to enter their premises, or businesses and organizations can opt out and will be required to reduce service levels like restaurants just having curbside service, or organizations like ourselves will have to offer virtual service or 1/3 capacity limits in their buildings. So Mr. Mayor, to be clear, you can do either of those.
Just in regards to this, what is the capacity of the arena for spectators?
So Mr. Mayor, actually, I didn't get clarity on that today. So the program is for the entire facility. As you know, the restrictions exemption program, the REP, is for the entire facility. So we're trying to get clarity if it's for the entire facility fire code or is it by section. So unfortunately, I didn't get that answer from Municipal Affairs.
Thanks for the question.
Service impacts, if we do not enact the restriction exemption program, the facilities will have decreased capacity, facility rentals impacted by 1/3 fire code capacity, and spectators in our arena is decreased to 1/3 fire code capacity. What will be canceled is any programming for adults 18 and over, wellness, culture, hockey. So this of course includes in our hall as well. Any programming like yoga or we had a dog agility training session, anything like that would be canceled for 18 and over. As well as in our hall, all private bookings such as weddings or funerals, receptions are not allowed.
CEO Pat, do you have a feel for what the financial impact would be to our community if that was all canceled?
Mr. Mayor, I didn't do a final analysis, but the biggest one would be losing the adult hockey teams. As you know, it's about $10,000 to $12,000 a month to run the arena. And we would essentially lose probably 1/4 of our bookings with adult bookings. And when we're booked with adult and minor hockey, it's good, it pays, right? So.
Okay, thank you.
Is that enough to offset the expected expense of the REP? REP, is that what it is?
Mr. Mayor, through Councillor Scoosball, sorry, I don't have that with me.
Would you be able to get that figure for after?
Yes, absolutely. If you could get
Okay.
that to council. Yeah.
Yeah, and Councillor George, I believe that's a question.
The adult hockey team, is those bookings solidified?
Mr. Mayor, yes. And we did contact two of the adult teams, and they are willing to comply with the vaccination program if we went ahead with it. Proof of vaccination program.
So how many teams is there?
Mr.
Three
Mayor, through
adult
Council
teams.
Campbell, we have 3.
And what is the cost per team average?
Mr. Mayor, through Council Campbell, what was that again?
What is the average cost per team? Just to give us a ballpark, so we have something to work with.
How much does an adult team play? Well, it depends how many hours they use the rink.
So it isn't really how should I say, a fixed figure then?
Mr. Mayor, through Council Campbell, it's by the hour. So some
Yeah.
teams choose to use an hour and a half, some 2 hours, some an hour. So it really is dependent on the team.
But you do have a figure from last year that you mentioned. already.
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor, we could share that later. Yeah.
I have to ask our rep for the minor sports question. In regards to minor sports, what is the feeling with the Lamont Bruderheim Minor Sports Association as regarding to startup time? Well, what is the proposed startup time for your group to what? Yeah, what?
We actually start tomorrow or today in Lamont. So it's back and forth between Lamont and Bruderheim.
Lamont's got their ice in already?
Yes.
And Mr. Mayor, if I could just clarify with Mr. Councillor Campbell, it doesn't matter which way we go, we need that $15,000 because if we go 1/3 capacity and they enhance cleaning and the monitoring of movement of people in the building, we'll need an extra staff member like last year. That's what we had last year to comply. Just a point of clarity.
Thank you for the question, Councillor George. If you're done, can you mute your mic, please? Councillor Wayne.
Just to confirm that regardless of which way this goes, there's still a $15,000 balance that needs to be covered somehow.
Mr.
And-
Mayor, through Councillor Lecco, that's absolutely correct. And that's what we did last year. We had extra staff. Fortunately, last year there was funding from the Alberta government to cover that. So,
Okay, and if there is funding later on, we will. apply
Mr.
for
Mayor,
it.
through Councillor Lecco, we're still tracking all costs related to COVID in
Okay,
case there is a program that comes out after.
awesome. And we got to realize too, this is opposing teams as well. We'll have to provide this. But having said that, if we go with something like this that's on the screen right now, that means the hall wouldn't be rented at all or very, very little because it's not typically for a 12-year-old to rent a hall. So just to keep that in mind. And this would affect the upstairs youth group as well, correct?
That is correct, Councillor.
If we were to proceed with something as it is on the screen.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. I have a question about the Lamont Arena. Are they enacting any kind of program that you're aware of?
Mr. Mayor, nothing right now. I haven't seen any local rural communities doing anything so far. But again, I think everybody's in the larger urbans all made decisions. And a lot of our players play in Fort Saskatchewan, Strathcona, St. Albert. Like a lot of our players are already those communities. If you, the next couple slides, I'll tell you which slides communities have adopted this already.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions for our Zoom counselors?
No,
All
we're
good.
good.
Okay, thank you. If we do enact the restrictions exemption program, we maintain regular service to public by maximizing capacity, reduce barriers to participation, encouraging COVID community recovery with increased confidence and safety, and keep the community active and engaged. Support physical and mental health benefits of recreation, maintain regular staff roles and schedules, minimize impacts to rental groups, example, minor sports groups, weddings, events, etc. Serves the majority of the population. 53.8% of eligible residents 12 and up are fully vaccinated in our region.
Have any of the hockey groups, like maybe Wayne might be able to address this one. Have you guys looked at how many players, like if you guys actually have full teams, if we were to implement the REP, based on how it looks right now?
So, Mr. Mayor, through Councillor Schoolsball, we actually did reach out to Bruderheim Minor Sports. Mr. Carter's with us here later to speak, and they are in favor of the passport system.
Right. I'm just asking again, being in favor and then being able to continue and actually play are kind of two different things, right? Some of these kids may have parents that aren't going to allow them to get vaccinated, and therefore they're going to be left out. Depending on the group, the demographic and all that, they may not have a team, which is all of a sudden going to decrease the need for ice time, right?
I don't know how many kids that are out there that are not vaccinated. Having said that, I do believe if there are some, I don't think it would affect the size of the teams. Obviously it will, but they'll still be able to go forward. And maybe Stuart can talk about that later if he has anything else to put into that.
Well, I can say that it's the bantam team that would be affected for the kids that are actually vaccinated.
Yeah,
Mr. Mayor,
Sorry.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Carter doesn't have a mic, so.
So-
Great.
So, yeah, so he can add to that after, but there is really only one group, and that would be the Bantams, the U15, that it would affect, because the rest is 12 and under. So and there is a full slate of kids for the team. I'm not sure how many are not vaccinated. I can't answer that. Does that mean that they won't go get it? I don't know.
And Mr. Mayor, again, for clarity, that would only be the over 12 crowd.
Which is just the one group of kids.
Gotcha. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. Good
Councillor
question.
George has a question.
We talk about our group of kids that are going to be playing in the minor hockey. What about host visitor teams? How do we regulate that? How do we speculate, say to them that this is the stipulations we have within our own arena system? What have you got in place to protect us?
Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Campbell, I'm not sure if everybody heard the question, but Councillor Campbell's asking, what do we do for out of town teams, I believe? And it would be up to the hosting team who is bringing in that team to advise the visitors what the regulations, and again, we'll have staff at the door to enforce, but good communication will go out to all teams, and we'll help the hosting teams with packages and making sure everybody understands. And I truly believe that this will be it's picking up momentum. So I think more teams than less will know about this.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that through the league, they've also mentioned that if you are traveling to another association, to get a hold of them ahead of time. So the ideal time would be now to get a hold of all the opposing teams and identify what their regulations are. And then we can move forward from there at that time. But the league has really put it out there for everybody to contact each other.
And Mr. Mayor, through Council Campbell, this slide here, we're just talking a little bit. So for clarity, if the kids are 12 to 18 participating in the sport, they don't have to be vaccinated. It's only if they're observing, right? So we'll just go through. So if the Alberta health guidelines, please note that if a rep is in place in a facility, it covers the entire facility. So it's not possible to say that the youth center is going to follow one set and the arena is going to follow another set of rules. And then if a youth under 18 is accessing a facility with a rep in place for the sole purpose of taking part in a youth activity, they would not need to prove proof of vaccination status, physician note, or negative test. So if they're participating in the sport, they do not have to be proof of vaccination under 18. If the facility has the program in place, 12 plus must show one of the acceptable options for proof of vaccination if they wish to spectate, use other amenities such as our canteen, or participate in a mixed adult youth activity, not including activity where the adult supports the youth, such as parents and tots. Does that make sense to everybody? So if they're 12 to 18, and they are eligible for vaccination, if they're solely to play hockey, they do not have to show proof of vaccination. If they're there to watch their siblings and they're in the stands, or to take advantage of the canteen, or to be upstairs in the youth center, they have to show proof of vaccination. No, it's from the government, and that's the guidelines. Yeah, it's exactly what it states. Everybody under 18 can participate in sports and not show proof of vaccination.
What a better way to spread it.
Well, I think what they're trying to do, if I may, Mayor Carl, I think what they're trying to do is put it back on the organizations to make sure that everybody's got their COVID vaccine and all that kind of stuff. But if they want to come out and go into the public with everybody else, which is what we're regulating, then they have to show proof, which I think is reasonable.
Thank you for that, Councillor Judy. Councillor George, if you're done speaking, please turn your mic off. Councillor Wayne?
So just for clarity, just because I got confused there, but it's not hard, but if we enact the restrictions exemption program, any child that's playing on the ice must be vaccinated.
No, well, under 18 does
Yeah.
not have to be vaccinated. If they're engaged if they're in the arena for the sole purpose of participating in the activity.
So if there's,
So basically.
Why would they be on the ice if they weren't participating in the activity? Right.
Yeah, so as long as they just want to go and play hockey, they're fine. If they want to go to the canteen now and order and have some food and talk to their buddies afterwards, different story.
if we put the program into place.
If we put the
Right.
program in place. Yeah.
Correct.
If we don't put the program in place, they can still play hockey
Right. But we can only,
and they can run around after they're done playing.
but we'd have to implement, no, they wouldn't. We'd go back to the restrictions that we had last year and it'll be in, out, 15
Right.
minutes, no moving around in the arena, 1/3 capacity. Right. Look at the canteen, look at washrooms, look at showers. It's back to the old restrictions from last year.
So this would not affect if there was, say, 3 kids that were not vaccinated, they could still play hockey in that team. As long as they play and then leave.
Right.
So there's really, it wouldn't put a damper on any kid that's out there.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt your Bantam team then.
No. What it might affect is if their parents aren't vaccinated, right?
And then that child can only go to the dressing room and out
Right.
and still allowed to play.
Absolutely.
But who polices that?
how does-
That's a hard one to police.
How does
So we
that,
finish.
I guess, with the other kids that are vaccinated, that are playing hockey, and there's that 3 kids or 4 kids that aren't. How does that keep the other ones safe, I guess?
Yeah, but that's a decision your coach and your association's gonna have to make. We're just following the government regulations and not
Okay.
saying that
No.
certain ones can't. So your coaches will
You're
have
right.
to do, right?
Okay, fair enough. So I just want to clarify that if this is enacted, anybody that is not vaccinated can still play under the age of 18, but they can't go anywhere other than the dressing room and the ice.
That is correct, Councillor.
Thank you.
Leco.
Councillor George?
That clause is fine to say that you can do that, but how do you police it? Does somebody go around and say, well, this kid can go and that go? But that takes staffing, that takes manpower to police them things. And a lot of our coaches are good people, but they sometimes are not diligent. And if we're going to make rules, it should be rules for everybody or rules for nobody. You can't go halfway. And if these are the guidelines we're going to put in place, then these are the guidelines we're going to have to live by. And these are the guidelines that we as council are saying that our users of our arena have to live by.
You're correct, Councillor George. However, it's the province that's making these regulations, not the town.
Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Wayne?
And if this was enacted, it would be up to the coaching staff to ensure that that child is not amongst the rest of the arena. And if they can't monitor that or manage that, then there might be some repercussions towards the team. Is that correct?
So, Mr. Mayor, through Councillor Leco, I'd just like to be positive. And last year was the craziest of crazies we'll ever live in the hockey world in the arenas. And I have to say our user groups were incredible. They all met with me before, every single user group, and met with me prior. We went and we helped them the first few nights and compliance was amazing. So let's not assume that people are going to choose non-compliance. And it was really tough last year. It was super tough. It was like 15 minutes, go at this store, go in this store, clean here, don't sit here, go here. And everybody was amazing. And this is so much better. The kids all get to play, they're under 18. And that's the spirit of the program, that kids get to play. And if council was to agree to do this, we would then proceed with an administrative addition to the contracts that will allow for progressive discipline if this was not adhered to. And we would include that in the contract as an amendment
Yeah,
if this was adopted.
I wasn't looking for any kind of blame. I just want to understand the whole gamut of how it's going to work. So thank you.
Just some regional decisions. Below is an unofficial summary of some approaches for youth exemptions throughout Alberta. Mandatory proof of vaccination, negative COVID test exemption for youth accessing recreation facilities, regardless of being a spectator or active participant. City of Edmonton, City of Calgary, City of St. Albert, City of Fort Saskatchewan, City of Leduc. Proof required only if youth are entering a facility as a spectator. Strathcona County, Town of Cochrane, Fort McMurray. And again, this was my research on the weekend. There may be some more adoptions since then. Options for consideration.
I'm sorry, Patty. Can you go back one slide really quick?
I don't
I'm
know.
sorry. If not a big deal. I'm just curious. My question was basically, even though Edmonton and Strathcona County, for example, are in two different sections, did they both still implement a REP?
Yes, it's just that municipalities can, so what we're suggesting tonight is that we do the minimum suggested by the province, but you also have the ability to step that up as council. As you know, you can always pass a bylaw that enhances any current restrictions by the province, right?
And so that the top ones like Edmonton, Calgary, and that they had stepped it up so that
Right.
it's okay. Excellent. Thank you.
Options for consideration: choose to implement the mandatory reduced capacity restrictions or implement the provincial restrictions exemption program known as REP for non-essential town services such as recreation and culture facilities. Implement the program effective September 22nd. Proof of vaccination required to enter facilities, 1 dose until October 25th. Proof of privately paid negative COVID PCR or rapid test within 72 hours of service.
Patty,
Yes.
that's just, or proof of vaccination required, 1 dose until October 25, or proof of privately paid, but negative COVID?
Yes, that's correct.
So that's an or in there, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And then after the October 25th?
You have to have proof of double vaccination
Or rapid test?
or the rapid test continue. Yes.
Okay. Somewhere that could be noted, maybe, or,
Yeah, we'll do a communication document that follows the health order as we provided in the package, right? We'll do that. We'll meet with all the teams and go through it and make sure that it's in the contract and they're clear in their understanding.
all right, clarity is
Councillor
good.
Yep.
And again, that
Councillor
won't
Judy,
affect
yeah,
any of the minor hockey under 18, but it would affect the adult teams, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Councillor Judy, and then Councillor Wayne.
The other thing I noticed when I was reading it over on the weekend, and I'm not sure if it was in this paperwork totally because I didn't get a chance to go all through it, but having proof of ID from like a driver's license, if they're from out of town specifically and you don't know them. So when they show you the proof of whatever, they also have to have some kind of ID. Is that not something that should be considered?
Again, Mr. Mayor, the requirements for the restrictions exemption program guidelines will be gone through with all the user groups, and that is in there. Absolutely, Councillor Schuler.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for your question, Judy, and Councillor Wayne.
Again, confusion set in. So if a player chooses not to get vaccinated after October 25th, they can still play under the age of 18.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
This would only affect the adult teams.
Okay, and they don't need to provide tests.
Under 18, no.
Thank you.
Essential devices, non-essential services. Essential services in our community is the town administrative building, the Bruderheim Fire Hall, the community clinic, the Infinity Center, and the public works yard. So this program would not be implemented in those facilities. Non-essential services is the Carol Mushmeyer Arena and the Memorial Community Hall. So if we implemented that program, it would affect those two buildings in our community.
Councillor Wayne?
Would that affect this area of the fire hall or the
Mr.
whole, the
Mayor,
whole building?
the fire hall is an essential service, so we wouldn't be implementing in this building at all.
Okay, thank you.
Again, it's because we can't say that the fire hall, that's an essential service, so.
So will that affect the council meetings in here?
So, Mr. Mayor, we'll only be able to have 1/3 capacity in here.
Okay, thank you. And you mentioned the community clinic. Is the community clinic going to be running this fall, do you think, or?
Mr. Mayor, that's correct, it is.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Wayne?
With 1/3, how would that affect if there was an emergency? Would that supersede all this?
Mr. Mayor, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
And Councillor Judy?
Question with all these, are they still having to wear masks even if they are vaccinated, Patty?
Mr. Mayor, through Councillor Shirley, yes, all current guidelines have to be adhered to: hand cleaning, sanitizing, distancing, masking.
Okay, thanks.
And again,
Questions,
that's all in
thanks.
the guidelines that we would provide the teams.
Great questions. Thanks.
So we're recommending the administration implement the restrictions exemption program for all non-essential town services as of September 22nd, 2021, and that amount of up to $15,000 to fund implementation of the restrictions exemption program, including costs for additional security and required cleaning, along with ongoing temporary COVID-19 prevention measures, be approved with the source funds to be municipal reserves, or that amount of up to $15,000 to fund the implementation of the restrictions exemption program, including costs for additional security and required cleaning, along with ongoing temporary COVID-19 prevention measures, be approved with the source of funds to be added to the current user group fees.
Having said that, Patty, is there, I guess you don't have a crystal ball, I know that, but you know, to take from municipal reserves, how might a person recoup that? Any ideas?
Mr. Mayor, through Councillor Lee, at this time, we wouldn't have a way to recoup that unless the province came up with a reimbursement program.
Alrighty, so then otherwise user groups.
That's correct, Councillor Lee.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Councillor Wayne?
So this 15th, if this were to go on to the user group fees, this wouldn't be sole responsibility of Lamont Minor Hockey or Bruderheim Minor Sports. So the full $15,000 wouldn't go directly. It's spread out through all teams that are home.
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor, through Councillor Lecco, it'd be to all user groups that have contracts for our facility.
So you don't have an idea as to how much that would be, like per minor sports, say, or?
So currently we did a quick, and again, this would be the worst case scenario, would be an extra $35 an hour.
So an extra $35 an hour for all minor hockey.
All user
games.
groups, yeah.
For all user groups.
Yeah,
Okay.
just as if all were equal, paying the exact same amount. Of course, as you know, minor sports pays less, so it'd be a little bit less, but that would be the worst case scenario.
Would there be a possibility of splitting the cost between the town and, so $7,000 each way?
So Mr. Mayor, maybe that discussion could happen during the motion that's made at the end.
Okay. Because that would reduce, because it's not only, yeah, we'll wait till then.
Councillor George?
You talk about security. What type of security are you implementing in this program?
So Mr. Mayor, Councillor Campbell, we're looking at some different options, and currently, administration will make sure that it's good. We're just looking, scanning, and figuring out what's the best option as soon as council gives direction.
Were you looking for a security officer or is a?
Are you putting in a resume?
I was like, what's
Are
that?
you being funny? Anyway, no, I'm not putting in a resume. Councillor Lee, I am asking a question.
So Ms.
Anyway, no, I was wondering what type are you going to put in, surveillance or scanners or whatever like that?
So Mr. Mayor, we still haven't got the details on what kind of QR code readers we need. We still haven't got the province is working, the stuff's coming out every day, but if council was to go ahead with this, I've got some quotes from security companies. I got some quotes from workforce, different ideas. I'm working with the director of public works, what makes sense for us. I have to talk to the user groups to see what makes sense for them. And again, when the people are coming and going and moving is when our Zamboni driver is on the ice. So that's not an option at all to add that. And last year we needed that extra person for cleaning and ensuring people were compliant and moving in the right direction. It's not that people don't want to, it's just every arena is different. And now we're going to have to check for proof of vaccination if this was to go ahead. So I'll communicate all of those with council, but it would be an administrative procedure how we handle that.
And what do you think is going to be the length of time of this? Because $15,000 doesn't go very far when you're hiring people and getting different types of equipment and supplies and the odd time you have to put overtime in. And
So, Mr. Mayor, I, through Councillor Campbell, we did this to the end of the year. As you know, the budget's coming up. So if we see this going on through the winter, it would be included in the 2022 budget. So all we need to talk about is what's not in the operating budget right now to get approval from council.
Thank you for the question. So administration does have a feel for the costs based on the hockey season that did happen, although it was short. So you have some idea on what that costs, right?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, we already have the contracts in place with the user groups. So we actually know exactly how many hours they want. So we were able to, that is worst case scenario, $35 an hour. If nobody increases, or if we get more users, then obviously that price would go down.
Thanks.
We just want to talk about staff vaccination testing requirements. We also, if the recommendation is approved, administration plans to move forward with a vaccination program for all employees. As a first step, mandatory disclosure of vaccination status would be required by September 27th. The vaccination program would include requirements for employees to be vaccinated. 1 dose is acceptable until October 25th, and fully vaccinated after that date, or participate in a rapid testing program or further, and then we will providing further clarification will be provided as we develop the program.
I have a question.
Go ahead,
So-
Councillor.
So how many of your staff are vaccinated, Patty, percentage wise? Do you know?
I do know, Mr. Mayor, through Councillor Schuler, but that would be private health information. So, yeah.
But like, are we sitting at 60? Like, I guess what I'm looking at are our numbers higher or we're not higher? I know you can't answer that. Never mind.
Private.
Mr. Mayor, I can tell Councillor Schuler that none of my staff, I talked to them all today, so they didn't hear about this via this meeting. I had no problem disclosing their medical information.
Deputy Mayor and then Councillor Wayne.
Is this going to be for all staff inside essential and non-essential buildings?
Mr. Mayor, through Councillor Scoville, yes, because at one time or another, all of us will enter those buildings. And if we're asking visitors to be proof of vaccination, we feel that it is a good leadership move to say that we will be vaccinated as well. Legislation does not apply to employees at the present time.
Councillor Wayne.
How would this affect going forward for part-time or summer staff? Would they have to follow the same program?
So currently, if this program was to go into place, we'd require that seasonal workers this winter would be in compliance with vaccination, yes.
Councillor Judy.
Yeah, actually, I was talking to some other businesses and just doing number crunches in different areas, specifically city. You know what, their numbers are high, 86 and 90% of their staff is vaccinated. So I think this is a good move, and people are realizing that they are in the public, and so they want to be protected, and I think that's good.
Thanks, Councillor Judy. I have a question about user groups for the community hall. So say the Lions Club, would they be charged that extra $35 an hour then?
So, Mr. Mayor, for the community hall would depend on the event. If it's a private event, then it would become part of the contract that they provide that. If it's open to public, then they would be a surcharge for providing extra staff to check.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll be developing administrative procedures if this program was to be implemented. Mr. Mayor, the problem with the arena is it's open to public. It's never closed to just the user group. Anybody off the street can walk in and watch the game. And that was the issue last year that we had. It was monitoring the people that enjoy coming to watch hockey. And the user groups are busy coaching and doing what they do, right? So.
Okay, thank you.
So communication after the meeting, news release, social media ads, Bruderheim
Sorry,
alert.
I had another question still.
Oh,
I apologize.
sorry.
Deputy Mayor and then Councillor Jordan.
Sorry, guys. You can't go back. Got to read from this one. Okay, so at the top it says if the recommendation is approved, administration plans to move forward with the vaccination program for all employees. Does that mean that we do not vote on whether or not this secondary vaccination program for employees will go forward?
Mr. Mayor, through Councillor Scoville, that's correct. It's an administrative procedure.
Councillor Wayne?
Okay,
thanks for the
sorry.
question.
To add on to it, sorry. So then why add if the recommendation is approved? Why add that
Because-
part in?
Mr. Mayor, through Deputy Mayor Scoville, that would be because we're requiring all visitors to our facilities to show proof of vaccination. So when our own staff in the building doesn't have
Hand in
to,
hand.
that sends a double message, right?
Right.
I believe.
Yeah, no, I understand. Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Councillor Wayne, and then Councillor George, or no, Councillor.
At the present time, we have one operator in the arena, right? Under normal conditions.
Mr. Mayor, through Councillor Campbell, that's correct.
So now we will have two operators in this.
Mr. Mayor, Councillor Campbell, that may not be an operator, the additional person.
Well, it'll be a staff then, or
Yes.
somebody that's patrolling and checking and doing the cleaning and assisting. That's, am I not right?
Mr. Mayor, through Councillor Campbell, yes, that's what we had last year.
That would
Exactly.
be the job description of this new person.
Correct.
Now, is the canteen going to be opened at under?
So, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Campbell, those are things that have to work out. Those details are still coming out from the province. So I do believe so. And I'm working on getting an operator right now. I'm still moving ahead with that. So.
And
Again, though, we're going to have to set up some barriers for the canteen as well, similar to the town office with the plexi, so that we keep them safe as well.
so these people would be under the same restrictions as what we have for our staff then.
So, Mr. Mayor,
The people that are working behind that glass would have to be vaccinated, proof of vaccination, and all that good stuff too.
so Mr. Mayor, yeah, and they also have the option of the rapid testing, right? So.
Yeah.
Again, we would be inserting these all into the contracts, right?
Yes. Secondly, these stipulations, will they be posted in the non-essential buildings? So that for reference, you want to go read them or look at them, they're there.
So, Mr. Mayor, yeah, we would, I would have to ponder that. I don't want to confuse people, but yeah. Again, we'll work on communication for sure.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Councillor George. Are we okay to continue with the presentation?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So after this meeting, we'll do a news release, social media ads, Bruderheim alert, web updates, signs within the community. The core messaging, if the recommendation passed, the health and safety of our staff and residents remains our top priority. Our goal is to protect the public health and safety while maximizing resident services and supports and compliance with its provincial measures. We feel it's necessary to use every tool available to help curb the COVID-19 numbers and protect our health system. Proof of vaccination or negative COVID-19 test to access services and work in the town of Bruderheim is one of these tools. Please remember always to be kind to one another as we adopt a provincial measure and protect our community health and safety. And Mr. Mayor, if there's any other questions.
Was there any other questions for CEO Pat on this presentation? Or are we going to go through any other documentation?
Mr. Mayor, maybe I could ask Mr. Carter before council goes into deliberation over the motions. He would like to speak on behalf of the Bruderheim Minor Sports Association, if that's okay with council.
Yeah, is that okay with council?
Yes. Yeah.
Just button here.
Thanks for coming, Stuart.
Thank you very much for having me here tonight. There's been, can I just leave it like that? There we go. I'd like to start out by saying that arena is it's just a central point. It's integral to the social fabric of this community. Those boys that you see riding by with the Bass Pro Shop hat on a scooter with the mop top, Wayne and I, well, you do too, we know who they are and their whole story because they play hockey. And they need that. They learn about winning, they learn about losing, they learn about teamwork and being citizens through fundraising and other issues. And they're prepared to do whatever it takes. You know, they lost out on the season last year. As an organization, you know, we've been working hard to amalgamate with Lamont, our historic rivals in hockey. And we're getting closer all the time to bringing together one unified group with two arenas. The people who came before us years ago, you know, I talked to my uncle about it. He said, you know, those arenas they went through a lot to get those things built for us. All we need to do is put some people in them. You know, and I realize it's COVID and I appreciate the extra costs. We have some fixed costs in insurance and, you know, one of the reasons we have a disproportionately high number of talented hockey players that come out of this particular town, which we should all be proud of, is because of things like our Power Edge Pro program, which is a fixed cost that is about $7,500 that we pay for here. And we lost it last year. We don't get it back. We don't get our insurance back, things like that. We've already scheduled games based on the October 4th date. And you know, we've got tournaments in the works and kids are chomping at the bit to get going. And so like hockey's in our blood. Please, you know, let's get out there. Let's get on the ice. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Stuart. Don't run away. I just wanted to mention, thanks for coming. It's great to see great volunteers like yourself stepping up in our community as president of Bruderheim Minor Sports. And I believe Councillor Wayne has a question for you.
Yeah, thanks, Stuart. Question now, whether it be $15,000 or $7,000 that has to come back to the groups, would that be a make or break kind of thing if it was an extra $20 an hour onto the ice fees, or whether it be $35 an hour?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to take it to my membership. I wasn't prepared for that question here. There are some families that, you know, would certainly have an issue with paying more for that. I'd have to take to the membership.
Fundraise. Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Councillor Wayne. Councillor George?
I remember when we first started the minor sports, I was one of the charter members of that group, 1968, 69. And every dollar we got, we had to work very hard to get it. Our first dollar we made, and that for the minor sports, was $1 we made the dollar by selling a garbage can. That being said, that it doesn't hurt a group to do a little bit of digging, to do a little fundraising, and be a little bit of appreciative for what they brought or can get. That being said, I am in favor of backing the motion 100%, but I'd like to see the town, they said these groups come back to the town and say, here is part of the money at the end of the season.
Thank you, Councillor George. Yeah, please press your button there on your, Councillor Wayne? No? Okay. Anybody on the virtual world there have a question for President of Bruderheim Minor Sports? Deputy Mayor?
So sorry, I've just been sitting here racking my brain about the $15,000, and I'm hoping that together we can all kind of come up with something outside the box, because honestly, the $15,000, it's not our fault. It's not anybody's fault. But if you come down to it, it is our government that is mandating this, and therefore we should be lobbying, or at least somehow putting some pressure on them to, hey, step up to the plate, help us out with a few more COVID costs like they did last year. It's not outside the realm of their of possibility and outside of their capability. So honestly, there's a lot of kids that play hockey here, and you know what? Get some letters going to our MLAs and on and on. I mean, a bunch of people are just getting elected. They might like to hear from some constituents and see if we can get a little bit of help going from that end of things, from our big brother provincial government.
Thank you for that. Anybody else, any questions for Stuart? Stuart, you're welcome to stay for the rest of the council meeting if you want, but right now it doesn't look like anybody has any further questions for you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you tonight.
Yeah, thanks for volunteering. So next on the agenda would be looking for a motion from council then. Councillor Len.
I'd like to ask administration, which would be a benefit to the community, which you got, or which one of the ors you want?
Mr. Mayor, I appreciate the question. Thank you, Mr. Filardo. I would like to recommend that we go into the restrictions exemption program so we can allow our adult teams to play. I think that that's a demographic that supports and holds our seniors and our littles, and they're just as important, their mental health and physical well-being, as those other two groups that we're talking about.
Okay, super. Thank you.
Okay, so would someone be willing to bring forward that motion? Councillor George?
My eyes here first. That administration implement the restriction exempt program for the non-essential town of services as of September 22nd, 2021.
Sorry? That's one motion, Councillor George.
Yes.
Then that's it. That's the motion.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Okay, thank you. Any comments, questions, or concerns with that motion? Councillor Wayne and then Councillor.
So that's a separate from the dollar values of everything, right?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor George?
Yeah, we'll be making another motion on the dollar amounts.
Correct.
Thank you.
Councillor Len? Okay. And Councillor Judy?
I think the mental health of the younger generation, and even the old, they all need that arena. I mean, it was closed up and down so much last year. I think it drove us all crazy. And now at least we've got avenue to keep it open. I think everyone will respect that, as opposed to trying to figure out if it should open or not open and all that kind of stuff. So I'm in favor of following the government and doing the program, and the people that want to get vaccinated or pay for the cost or whatever it is to make sure that they're a part, that's their choice. But I think for the majority, our younger generation, they need that arena. They need to grow. They need to burn off some of that steam that I know a lot of them have.
Thank you, Councillor Judy. Councillor Wayne.
With regards to the men's teams and the older kids that are playing, or the older people that are playing, is there a way to get rapid tests here so that they could take if they paid for them?
Mr. Mayor, I have been looking into that, and bulk buying is definitely advantageous. I was going to talk to the user groups and see what the interest would be on that first before we kind of took into that. And
that would just be user groups of 18 and older.
Right. Yeah. And what they thought, if they could scan their teams and think if that would be, if like we could definitely have them here and charge it out. And there's a definite benefit to bulk buying, right?
And we'll be sharing that with Lamont maybe too. So it's not such a
like
big
a
cost.
regional cost, so we can get our numbers up, buy more kits.
Okay.
I think they're as low as $12 to $15 if you buy like 50, I think, something like that. I looked.
Okay.
So yeah, definitely. But I would scan the user groups first to see if they think that's a concern or not.
That'd be awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that question. Maybe some of the larger municipalities near us, we could partner up and get a reduced cost as well. I just wanted to provide a little bit of background. The Bruderheim men's team that I'm a part of, there's 16 teams that are willing to play in that league this year, and they all want to conform to this regulations of the program. And sounds like all of the arenas are either having that program or something even more restrictive. So the amount of folks that are, like, I've heard that the Toros want to play, whatever the program is. So that will bring revenue for the arena because the ice is still there, whether it's just minor sports or if there's other teams from maybe municipalities that aren't going to have a program for adult hockey, then maybe our arena would benefit from increased usage. Who knows? But I'm certainly in favor of the motion. Thank you. Anyone else? Any thoughts, Deputy Mayor?
I think that obviously going forward with opening the arena is the right call. The fact that children under 18, whether they're vaccinated or not, get to play is absolutely fantastic. They're still taking all the precautions that we have in the past 2 years, social distancing, hand washing, masks, and all that to keep them safe. And I'm all in favor of them being able to play. That is a huge benefit to our town and to our residents and everybody around the town that also participates in these activities.
Thank you for that, Deputy Mayor. Is there anyone else that wants to weigh in on this motion before we call for a vote? Okay, call for a vote. Anyone opposed to the motion? Hearing none, the motion is carried. Thank you. Now we'll be looking for council to bring a motion for the next portion of the business. Looks like Councillor Judy. Go ahead, Councillor Judy.
Just a minute, got on unmute. I make a motion that the amount of 15,000 to fund implementation of the restrictions exemption program, including costs for additional security and required cleaning, along with the ongoing temporary COVID-19 preventive measures, be approved with a source of funds from municipal reserves.
Thank you for that. Is that the motion? Or
Yeah,
is
that'd be
there
the
an
motion. We'd have to turn it down. I'm thinking vote it down if we didn't want to do it that way.
Okay, thank you. Any comments, questions, or concerns from Councillor Wayne?
In regards to the funds I mentioned earlier, if we could look at, again, before, can this part be held off till the next council meeting? The dollar value?
Mr. Mayor, no, we would have to hire somebody, right, get on that. And I can't implement the program without funding in place.
Okay. So I'd like to hear what the associations that like the Lamont and Bruderheim to say is it feasible to do $18 an hour extra? What would that cost for the year? To minor sports, if we were to do half, what does that equate to? What does the full amount equate to?
Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Lecco, if council is open to just taking it from reserves and I don't know, like I think Councillor Campbell had an example of maybe we can say to them, look, we need to fund this somehow, or right? It's kind of like COVID when it hit the first time, you guys pre-approved. And again, it's up to 15,000. I'm not going to automatically spend 15,000. You know, but I do need some sort of motion to fund this position for sure.
Councillor Len and Councillor George.
I think at the first, because this is such a fast situation we're in right now, we take the $15,000 and give them the 15,000, but let them know, the organizations, as of the new year for the next budget, you better have something in place to help us, to assist us with that cost for the next 3-4 months. We'll give them a free run from now to end of December, but after that, they should make all efforts and fundraise to help us out. That's my thought on it. Because it's just too much fishing around right now. They don't have the time to organize fundraising and everything else, but they have enough time to do it from now to January.
Thanks for that, Councillor Len. Councillor George, you had your light on, and then Councillor Wayne. Please press your mic button there, Councillor George.
I kind of echo what everybody else is saying. I feel that we should go ahead with the $15,000. And as I did years ago when I was president of the minor sports, I left a lot of things to the onus of the people that run the clubs. And I never had any trouble with any of these groups ever coming back and saying, here, you know, here's some part of the costs. I think if we leave that there to them, we're going to have to spend the $15,000, whether we want to or not, one way or the other. And I think we should leave it up to the groups to come back and say, here's part or whatever it's called, whatever we want. I don't think it should have to go into a motion.
Thanks for that, Councillor George. Please mute your mic and Councillor Wayne.
So where would this come from? And how much is there?
Mr. Mayor, through Councillor Lecco, from our reserves for rainy day reserves. So we have that, there's a couple of different accounts. We have the sporting facilities one when we're short. We have the impact taxes reserves. There's a number of reserves this could fall under. I have to look at which one could handle it right now.
Okay. And would you would be able to come back in time saying this is kind of at $35 an hour. This is kind of what it equates to for the whole year. And so that way, we, you know, maybe there's something we can do to support that in January or February or whatever it is.
So Mr. Mayor, through Councillor Lecco, we would definitely talk to the user groups, and I would classify this as emergency funding. Again, we don't have a lot of time. I need to get this on the ground running through the rink to open in 3 weeks. And so, yeah, again, we could talk to them about this as emergency funding short-term and see where we get. And again, I could partner with the nonprofits to look for grants to find this, right?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Wayne. Councillor Pat.
Yeah, I think that that taking from the reserves is a good. I mean, we're fairly healthy with those reserves. I know that. So to draw from them at this point is advantageous as far as I'm concerned. And the possibility is, yes, these, you know, maybe there will be opportunities for fundraising. However, I wouldn't put a timeline on that because everything is so fluid. So the expectation for them, for any groups to come back with a chunk of change within a certain period of time, it's a little harsh. But for now, just take from the reserves, see how it balances out. Of course, let them be cognizant that yes, there is an expectation that this is emergency funding, and you know, you start looking around for avenues to recoup some of this money for the town. But I would take from the reserves without a problem right now.
Thanks for that, Councillor Pat and Councillor Judy.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem taking it from the reserves. I do think, though, the clubs need to know that it is emergency funding, and I would like to see them recoup some before the end of December and give it back. And I'm not going to put an amount on it because in all reality, we don't even know if we're going to spend the full 15,000. Maybe in a month we'll have up to 90% and numbers will go down and things will change, right? So I think, and I always hope for that. So it's not a bad thing, not far from the truth, but more like a third of whatever the cost is, maybe by the end of the year they could look at least. And then by the beginning of next year, figure out how it's going to work into their budget if we have to maintain this, because this is not for the whole term. This is till something changes, right? And I think with this much coming down of pushing it and even being able to travel out of the country, you need to have all this stuff. People are going to get their vaccinations, and I think numbers will go down. So I think we'll see things changing within a month or so. That's my thought.
Thanks, Councillor Judy. Any further conversation, questions, comments on the motion? Okay, call for a vote. Anyone opposed to the motion? And the motion's carried. Thank you very much. That was a tough one to decipher. And now we're looking for the number 5. Councillor Wade.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Councillor George, you have a question?
No.
Please put your mic on.
I was just sitting here thinking, and we always want to cut costs and stuff. Now, one way to help this group out or this situation out is if our council would waive our cost for the night and give it to the town. If it wouldn't have been for this special meeting, we'd all been sitting home and on our comfortable little seats. This is one way for us as council to help our town out.
Thanks for that, Councillor George, and certainly that challenge will be taken up by those from council that feel that necessary too. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councillor Wayne.
Actually, I have a question too, if you don't mind. I had brought to me as well is what if, can the concession, if the operator of the concession, would they be able to help fundraise for, are they able to do that to fundraise to help cover some costs?
Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Echo, absolutely.
Because it has come into it, they brought it up, so I'm just asking to see if that's a possibility. So I don't know how big or how small, but every bit counts, so.
Yeah, just to be honest, I've been really busy just weeding through it. I haven't really thought about the concession yet. So waiting to see what direction council will give, and then I will get back on the operational side of the concession.
Thank you.
Thanks for that. And we're looking for number 5, Councillor Wayne.
Make a motion to go home or to go to the couch, whichever's closer.
Thank you, Councillor Wayne. Anyone opposed to the motion? And the motion's carried. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.